really know what's going on over there other than everybody's dumb.
The instant you step out of line, you say something that they don't like and they don't like you personally, they're going to use all those pre-existing laws and they're going to use it on you.
Woman exposed her male genitalia to women and underage girls. That's what happened.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way. It's super cringe.
From our suspension, Eric Butler, TatumReport.com. We've got Lewis Brackpool, Rebel News UK reporter. Oren Levy, Leeroy Press, recently arrested for doing journalism. How are you guys doing?
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well, thank you.
Lots of stuff going on right now. Let's quickly get to the title track, as I call it. Leeroy Press, suspended on Twitter, arrested. Tell everybody, I interviewed you the other day. It was a good time. Tell everybody why you got arrested and what happened here to start us off. Why don't you?
Sure. So it was last week. I normally get phone calls from activists, and they tell me where to go and where to go film them. And I got a call from the New York City activist group, and they told me to meet them by the AMC movie theater. I met them there. We bought tickets. They walked right in. Actually, the lady at the counter pretty much told them, you can go in, go speak to the manager, and they walked right in. They went in. I went in after them, and police showed up. The manager showed up, told all of them to leave. The police showed up and spoke to me and spoke to them. Right when they spoke to them, then the police came over to me and asked me who I was, if I was with the group. I said, I'm not really with the group, but I'm press. And I showed him my press pass. And he's like, all right, no problem. You're good. About, 10, 15 minutes later, another group of NYPD officers came in to do a head count on the activists. And they counted them all. And then the PD pointed at me and said, this guy's press also. And then about 10 minutes later, another group of NYPD SRG unit, which is pretty much the riot police, NYPD legal, NYPD intel walks in, and I'm getting surrounded by like 20 cops. And one of the cops tell the inspector, who was in control of everything that day, that I'm press and that they know me. The inspector started asking me for my press pass, and I told him, "Look, here's my press pass." He's like, "You're not NYPD press. You're not good. You're going to get arrested." And I told him, "Sir, I know all your officers. Your bosses are my friends," and he just didn't want to hear it. And I told him, 2 officers before told me I can stay. I asked him, "Would you like me to leave?" "I will leave, no problem." I don't like arguing with the cops when I'm working. I try to work with them. I stay out of their way, and he just didn't let me leave. They proceeded to put handcuffs on me and took me down to the precinct. On the way out, some of the officers even said, "Yeah, I know who you are. You're good with us." Everybody. They said we can't do nothing once the inspector says something. Right. And then I started getting more information from the officers, and they were telling me, "Yeah, this inspector's not a good guy. He makes our job a lot harder. It's an Inspector O'Hare." And then I started getting a bunch of phone calls from my friends who are retired officers, and they're telling me, "We know this guy. He's an ass. He's a hard ass, and he's just doesn't like what he's doing. A lot of people don't like what he's doing. And I got charged with trespassing, and I was released maybe 2 or 3 hours after the precinct. And then I went home. I have court on the 25th or 27th of this month. So let's see how it goes in court.
Wow.
Eric, you're from New York. How does this, you lived in New York. How does this feel to you?
Yeah, I do want to make it clear. I am not from New York. I lived there for a couple of years.
Sorry.
Well, I just don't want to mislead the public. I know how the New Yorkers get. They're very territorial. But I have a couple of questions though, just because I was out there protesting, at the very beginning of this, well before the shot was even, I just wanted to go back to work all the way back in 2020. But my question for you, do I call you Leeroy? I don't know if I should call you.
Yeah, you can call me Leeroy. Yeah.
Okay. When you're on the ground besides the protest, right? And you are good at that, bro. Like, I've been following your work on Instagram for a really long time, probably since, sort of the beginning of that account. I'm not quite sure, but outside of all the protests, do you feel like on the day-to-day basis that people are finally starting to get hip to this? Like, obviously the protesters are going to go to work, and we all can appreciate them.
Mhm.
But when you're just in the streets doing your normal stuff, like, do you feel like people are finally like, all right, bro, this is over? Like, I mean, because I can't see it, I'm not on the ground there. I mean, but I'm just curious. Do you feel like the normal people are also starting to kind of get sick of it? Maybe finally.
Yeah, they are. Look, I have a lot of friends on the left and on the right. I have friends that have the jab and that don't have the jab. Those who have the jab are actually telling me what is going on now. And they said, oh, I should have listened to you, because now they keep pushing more and more jabs on people. Right. So some people are waking up and they're saying this is not right. No, all these mandates. Look, you had people working in hospitals, right? And there were physical therapy people, right? And then during the pandemic, they got fired, right? While they were inside working during the pandemic, they were pushing bodies around. That's not their job. They were pushing bodies to the morgue, right? And then they get fired. And a lot of people are just like, yo, what is going on? And every day the story changes. So you say one jab, now they're saying the first 2 jabs don't work. It's useless. And then they're saying the booster doesn't work. So people are like, yo, what is going on? You know?
We're getting suspended again for sure.
Oh, sorry.
Should I not say the B word?
No, they do work. They work
I don't
perfectly.
know.
I get
It
one
doesn't
every
matter.
single week. I get one every single week. I love it. They're perfect. They are flawless. Susan, okay.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I don't
you're good.
care.
So just really quick. Besides all
Amazing.
that stuff, I have to ask too, just about the crime, bro. Like we get all these headlines. I mean, does it feel safe? Like, you know, they're now Eric Adams is coming after this genre of rap music. I don't know if you're familiar with that. The drill scene, the crime seems to still be through the roof. People getting pushed onto the tracks and setting fires on the train. Is that? I mean, does it feel like you can still just be a regular New Yorker and just walk around, or are people on edge?
Look, me personally, I'm a New Yorker. I'm 43 years old. I was born and raised in New York. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I seen New York when it was a lot worse, and I wasn't scared. I'm not going to be scared to be walking in New York. I'm not at fear. Only person I fear is God. That's the only person I fear. Are other people a little scared? Absolutely. Is crime up? Absolutely. Look, we've been through this nightmare for these past 2 years, right? The pandemic, and then all this other stuff that went on with the riots. People lost their mind. Right? Not only did they lose their mind, they lost their businesses, they lost their houses, they lost everything, right? People have lost their jobs. Of course, crime's going to go up. It's natural. When everything's in complete chaos, crime goes up. But as far as me being scared, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. This is my home. You know, this is my home, and I'll never be scared to walk on the streets here.
Absolutely, bro. I will admit I do miss Brooklyn a lot. Like, if nothing else, and this might sound odd, but just strolling into a bodega, getting a bacon, egg, and cheese, all the jerk chicken places in Flatbush, like, I miss all that, but I just couldn't
You're
take
buying
it. And
convenience store sandwiches, bro?
absolutely, absolutely, bro, absolutely. And I will not
How's
have
your
any
stomach?
slander. I will not have you slandering the bodega bacon, egg, and cheese. It's not going to happen.
This
but
cannot
see,
be good quality cheese and egg. I refuse to believe it.
you never, Andrew. You never. Okay, well, we can discuss that later. But but the only thing,
When you come to Brooklyn, we'll get you a bodega sandwich. Don't worry, it's not that bad.
Exactly.
I'm concerned about trying the pizza there, not necessarily crummy like convenience store, and we call them convenience stores here, sandwiches. I worked at a convenience store when I was 17, I think, overnight shift. I tried every single sandwich in the place, every single drink. It was all disgusting.
No, dude,
Read every magazine.
Bacon, egg, and cheese, bro.
Look, you can go to John's Pizzeria, L&B Spumoni Gardens. That's where you get your pizza. You don't want to get it off these dollar spots in the West Village someplace. That's nasty.
Well, I trust New York to have good pizza.
I think they're like $1.50 now, though. It has inflation. I'm sure inflation has killed the dollar slice anyway. So you can pay $2 for an awful slice of pizza.
Lewis, what's the food to get in London?
Crap, basically. No, it's all right. I think you can get some decent market stuff. But I've been to New York personally. I've been down areas of New York, and I've had the slices of pizza on the side for $1.50 or whatever. This was some years ago now. I miss that personally. I miss that. It reminds me of going on holiday personally, because we don't really have that here, like where people just do pizza slices or just like $1.50 for like, a slice when you're on a drunk night out. Like, it's perfect. It's usually just kebab shops.
Oh yeah, the kebab shops
in New York. But do you guys have? We call it street meat in Toronto when it's a hot dog vendor. When
Yeah,
it's a
they
hot
have them
dog
here.
vendor, it's outside of
That's pretty cool.
outside of a stadium usually.
They
Best thing
have them here.
ever.
They have them everywhere. I wouldn't eat it. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people eat it. You get the dirty hot dog water. I wouldn't touch that. I personally wouldn't touch it, but a lot of people do.
It's not seen as gross here. It's seen as like amazing.
It's like touristy.
You're from Canada, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for you guys over there.
Yeah, I know. Let's get to some Canada stuff. We've got
Oh yeah,
Rebel
because you
News'
guys are going
reporters
in the
everywhere.
opposite direction now. I mean, right? And Boris Johnson
can't
has
say
sort of
that.
backed off, but Trudeau definitely has not backed off. So you guys are like going in completely opposite directions at this point, huh?
This is like a live stream as of 5 minutes ago, so it's like 5 minutes behind. So don't worry about the fact that it's finished. But this is Ottawa, our beautiful nation's capital, where all the terrorists are right now. Currently, the white supremacists and the terrorists are congregating here. Lincoln J, the reporter, you've seen him on Hannity. You've seen him on. We were trying to show this clip the other day. He was on the Hill, and the host there, who was like their DC bureau chief, asked him like 3 times about Charlottesville. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
So
and then
dumb.
of all people, Jimmy Dore was defending us. So it's pretty good. And his answer was like, bro, I was in college at the time. I don't even know what happened actually at this event you're talking about.
The Hill used to be decent though. No, like I feel like the Hill a couple years ago wasn't that bad. And then they sort of just went off
This
the
is
cliff.
the dangerous people here. It's
they
because
got-
they have different guest hosts, I think, is why it's hit or miss.
They look scary dancing like that.
So scary.
They brought a big screen, I heard. They brought people created a pop-up restaurant. There's a dog laying on the ground there, just right there. And there's a DJ, I guess.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous.
So those
So
records,
dangerous.
those records look dangerous. Like you can kill someone with it, right? Those turntables.
Playing Skinhead like
Yeah,
music
Thanks for the
all night.
super chat. As above, bruh, Toronto food. Vomit is what this guy is thumbs upping essentially. That's coming from a guy named Ape Tit, so maybe I don't know if we're supposed to.
Be careful with that. Be careful. He's a white supremacist.
Lewis, what's the mainstream? Is the mainstream media portraying this in any certain kind of way in the UK?
They're not covering it at all. I think other than GB News has covered it a few times. They're covering it as just a freedom event, but the rest of them, they're not even touching it like at all. It's really, really weird. I've been trying to look out for some headlines. I've personally not seen anything. So really, I think personally, it's one of the biggest stories of this year so far. Yet our media are sort of gone, well, we've done the lockdowns, we've done all that, we're opening everything up. So what's the point of us looking at anyone else? That's how I see it. They're looking at, but you've got other outlets like GB News who are just are covering some of it, but not all of it.
So the updates coming out from Ottawa are they have the tents, they have all the stuff. Also, they put a fence, I think, around one of the monuments, and it got torn down. And then the police tried to move in, and the crowd was just like, no, you're not arresting anybody. So it's interesting. I don't think the government really cares about Ottawa right now. There's a huge crowd there, but it's not, costing them $250 million a day like the Detroit Windsor. Leeroy in New York, are they talking about the bridge there?
They're not talking about anything over here, believe it or not. So I have friends. I have friends that work, and they're suppressing it. Right? That's what they're doing. I think that's one of the reasons why they got rid of me, is because I was the only one out there covering all these rallies. And I have friends that work in the mainstream, and some of them are really good people. And they told me that their editors told them not to go close to this rallies at all and not cover it. So they're suppressing the message.
It's pretty weird.
So yeah, the big one in Windsor, Detroit, I'll bring up for you guys in a second, because of course we have people there too. There's reports of snipers. I don't know if I saw it. I mean, there's cops on rooftops and there's cops with rifles, so I don't know if I can confirm or deny that. But basically, they moved in, and this was from earlier today. This is the most recent I could find. They had all these cops move in, hundreds. And so what happened up here in Canada, lovely country as we are, they recently created an emergency order again. And when they do that, that means they can arrest people without cause for public safety. It started under COVID, of course. There's the guys on the rooftop. I don't see any guns, which is probably why they're showing their hands. But that's a lot of cops. They said they were going to move in. The problem is, and Tucker Carlson talked about this last night, you can't just move tractor trailers. Like the Canadian military does not have the capacity for this. The Canadian government does not have the capacity for this. The police do not have the capacity for this. The tow truck drivers are saying no. So you can see they have a SWAT vehicle that looks like it's from Grand Theft Auto there. Tons of cops, but it doesn't look like anything's happening. I don't know what you guys think about this. Like, they can take, my stance is they can take, the government can take away businesses and your individual rights for 2 years and you can't say anything. But as soon as people cause, problems for Ford and Toyota, which is two of the big companies that are having issues with the bridge being blocked, all of a sudden this is not allowed. Give me some more perspective on this, you guys.
Yeah, well, okay, and now Trudeau, right? We're seeing that viral clip of him saying, "Well, I will talk to protesters that I agree with." Like, isn't that
Yeah.
the exact opposite? I mean, you're really going against, like, right? You're proving our point, right? Like, aren't you supposed to bring something to the table, like talk to, negotiate, sit across the table with them and actually discuss this? And he'll say, "Well, I only talk to people I agree with." Isn't that exact opposite of, even if he could at least just lie and say, "Well, I'll do it." I mean, he already did lie, like, "Oh, I got COVID, or my kid got COVID, or I was in touch with somebody who got COVID," or whatever nonsense he was spewing. That was almost better than him just blatantly saying, "Well, I'll go talk to Black Lives Matter." Especially, I mean, I'm sure you remember, Leroy. I mean, Black Lives Matter basically burned down Lower Manhattan in, well, you guys know, I'm preaching to the choir
Well,
here, but
here's the thing. So a lot of these little like fires and stuff that started, those were little isolated events, but the mainstream wants to make it look like the whole city's on fire. Look, I was in the riots, right? And I seen everything what happened in front of my eyes. I seen stuff that was on TV that the news will sometimes mix up and lie about, or they'll make it look like the whole city's on fire when it's not. Look, you had some isolated events, but you also had some people that are actually giving good messages from Black Lives Matter, right? I don't consider myself from the left or the right. I consider myself it's right or wrong, right? That's how I consider myself, right? And there was a lot of other stuff going on in Black Lives Matter that the TV would not show you, but you had these photographers that went there and looked for one thing to focus on to make the whole thing look crazy. Was there violence? Yes, there was some violence, but that wasn't a majority of the protests, right?
See, so here's my problem with the Black Lives Matter in New York, right? So first of all, I remember specifically, I lived in Flatbush, and I remember specifically when they smashed all down Flatbush Avenue. They were smashing the those little, like, I call them like e-propaganda readers, those little things, they just little things, they have advertisements on it that they scroll through, and they were actually displaying the names of the people that they claimed to be fighting for, Tamir Rice, Trayvon, all those people. They were scrolling through on those readers, and they were all smashed all the way up and down Flatbush Avenue. So that pissed me off. That's my neighborhood. I lived in Flatbush. Secondly, the way that they were treated when they destroyed the block around City Hall. I was arrested on May 9th, 2020, protesting lockdown, well before the vaccine was anything. We just wanted to go back to work, right? They arrested us inside of an hour. About 45 minutes it took for them to arrest 9 of us in a protest of about 25 people, me and some old ladies with tiny American flags. Again, just about the lockdowns. Vaccines were not even in the discussion at that point. You fast forward 6 weeks to when George Floyd died. That very same park, City Hall Park in Lower Manhattan, was occupied for 3 weeks by these people. They destroyed the entire block, and I went to go talk to them. I talked to the BLM protesters, and the message that I got was about opioid addiction. They didn't mention anything about George Floyd. They didn't mention anything about Breonna Taylor. They said, "We're doing naloxone trainings." I'm like, you are using the death of these people to push naloxone, and you guys are camped out here for 3 weeks while I was arrested in 45 minutes at this very same park. So obviously it triggers me to no end, and I cannot stand the organization. In fact, more recently, Hawk Newsom came out again, Hawk, and what's the other lady, the young lady's name, Andrew?
Yvonne Newsom.
Yeah, so they came out against the mandates, but then when Eric Adams, just before or just after, I forget, before he was inaugurated or whatever it was, they seem to not even want to talk about the mandates anymore. They switched to police reform. And I'm like, wait, bro, you guys had one good stance as far as fighting back against the mandates. You dropped that, and you want to make sure that Eric Adams doesn't even try to stop what seems to be like a crime spike in New York. It just all felt really it felt really inauthentic to me. And I personally can't stand them.
Look, I was in that meeting with Eric Adams and Hawk Newsom. I was inside that meeting with all of them, right? He did bring up the mandates. you got to remember, I look at things like everybody has their own thing, right? Hawk Newsom spoke up. That video I saw of Hawk speaking out against the mandates, those were my videos. I personally know Hawk. He's not what the TV makes him out to be, believe it or not, right? I don't want to trash talk him because I know him, but he's not what the TV makes him out to be. Hawk is he knows how to trigger people, right? And that's what I think he gets off. And he has his own message, but when I was in that meeting, he did bring up the mandates to Eric Adams. He did. It just the news didn't want to play it, right? The news wanted to play him saying he's going to burn down the city if the cops start beating people up again. And I have the whole speech of what happened with Hawk. What he said exactly is if I think the old way of policing is going to come back and innocent kids are going to start getting beat up and pulled out the cars again, then we'll start rioting again. That's what he said. But he said a lot of other things too that the news didn't focus on. Like I got the whole speech on my Instagram. He talked a lot about health food and all kinds of stuff. But the thing is, they have their own thing. It's not my thing. I can't push someone else of another person's opinion onto another person. Right.
So
That's
I'm just curious.
I give everybody equal. I give everybody equality. Right. They want.
So
they
my
want
question
to
though
push
is
police reform. Look, I can get down with police reform. Right. I know about police reform. Look, I was abused multiple times by police. I lost $1 million company because of the police. Right. And I was set up. Right. So I know what they're coming at, and I can definitely relate to it.
now me personally, I don't trust the NYPD as far as I can throw them, but that's because I think they are just henchmen for corrupt politicians. But I'm curious as to why, and maybe this will be the most Hippocratic thing, or Hippocratic. I don't know. The most backwards thing that I'll say is that hypocritical. Yeah, hypocritical. There we go. Here we go. That is that I would have no problem. This is just me, obviously. I would have no problem with Hawk Newsom saying we will burn down the city if you don't get rid of these mandates. But I don't want to hear you talk about we will burn down the city if you start arresting criminals. Now, obviously, there's nuance to that, and we could talk about the police reform, but it seems, and this is part of the reason why the media is so awful, because I didn't get all that stuff. I might have to go back and watch your footage of it, but it seems like you need to take, I just personally think that it is more important that we take a stance and go by, we'll say, any means necessary to get rid of the mandates, more so than the police are a problem, bro. The criminals are a far bigger problem. And again, I don't trust the NYPD, but I don't think they are as big a problem as the criminals that seem to be. We just have this video going viral of this guy stealing a dozen steaks out of Trader Joe's. So the crime seems to be more of a problem than the police. And if you want to make demands, I wish that, and I can't obviously tell Hawk Newsom what to do, but bro, go hard against the vaccines and then come after the cops. That's how I think it should happen. Obviously, it doesn't really matter what I think. That's just my take on it.
Well, here's the thing.
They are going after the vaccine passports, though.
Yeah. Look, he didn't say if you go after criminals, we're going to burn the city down. He says if you start locking up innocent, if you think, Mike, the innocent kids are going to start getting ripped out the car again and getting hurt, we'll burn down the city. That's what he said.
I just don't buy that line that was really happening that frequently. I'm sure it happens, but I just don't think it's like. I just don't think it's an. I think that there are more people, and I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't live in New York anymore, but I think that there are far more people being wrongfully pulled out of restaurants than there are kids innocently being tracked down by the cops driving a car. I just don't see, and it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I don't think it's quite as big as a problem as these crazy vaccine mandates. And now we're seeing this lady collapse and all sorts of things. And again, there is a lot of nuance there, but I think the bigger problem is clearly the mandates, and then we can talk about making sure that the cops don't wrongfully arrest anybody, because I just don't think that it's that intrusive. Like the whole Applebee's and Olive Garden, that is intrusive, bro. People can't even live their lives.
That comedian that collapsed on stage, she went on Dr. Drew and she was like, and I'm going to try to parse around the bad words here, but she's like, I had gotten the thing a few weeks ago, or 2 to 3 weeks before this happened. How
the third
anything? Have you ever heard of anything like this? And he's like, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks is when that usually happens. So, I want to get some Lewis content in here. So let's talk about the thing that got us suspended, which was showing Dana White daring to talk about prohibited non-illegal substances. I believe we think that's what got us suspended. We don't know. Of course, they don't tell you. We're at Silicon Valley's hottest joint of YouTube. But guy who's fighting tonight, Israel Adesanya, I think he's going to win. I'll just throw that out there. Came in defense of Joe Rogan, and then I want to go to get Lewis's opinion on it first, since he's been, silent over there. Because
that's all right. I've been listening. It's been great to just listen and just enjoy. Yeah.
Hold on.
I think
let's watch the video first here, and then we'll get your.
And Dana, I had a question for you around Joe Rogan. There's been a lot of controversy with him.
First off, let me take this one. Hold on. I'm black. I can take this one. Look.
Okay. What were...
No. There's a lot of cunts in this game. There's a lot of snakes in this game. I've been in this fight game since 2008. And Joe Rogan is one of the nicest, coolest, humble motherfuckers I've had the pleasure of working with. Understand that. And it's just, fuck the noise, man. You know what they're trying to do. You can't control the man, and he's got the biggest platform in the world right now. So that's my nigga, Joe Rogan. Fuck the noise.
You love to see it, Lewis.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's good to see that the fighters as well are really sticking up for Joe Rogan. I mean, the media are trying absolutely everything to call him everything from racist to anti-vax to whatever. So it's good to see people really standing up for him. I think we obviously saw recently that Rumble have offered Joe Rogan a spot there for 100 million, I believe, for 4 years. I believe that is. With no censorship, which is very interesting. Joe Rogan's platform is absolutely massive, and I think the establishment are scared of that because Joe's very liberal. I mean, you go back to his to a lot of what he speaks about. He's very, very liberal with criminal reform and universal basic income and lots of different things. So painting him out to be this far right gatekeeper or whatever and this weird racist, like, it's unbelievable what they're trying to do. And what's funny is this compilation that's been really circulating with Joe Rogan using the N-word, taken out of context, of course. It's funny to see that it's one rule for thee and not for me. So people like the Young Turks, for example, have had that sting against them, where they had a compilation made against them for using the N-word, and of course completely taken out of context with all the clips, as we've seen. But there seems to be no outrage, and it seems to me like it's one rule for a particular side, if you will, and if you decide to stray off from the narrative, they attack you for it, no matter how big you are. And Joe Rogan is an example of that. I don't know if you guys agree on me with that, but that's my take.
I think it's because
Eric,
he is that big.
Do you think we should play the Young Turks N-word compilation? I think I just found it.
Yeah, or if you have Joe Biden dropping it a couple times too, we could do that. Either way,
Joe Biden's even worse.
Joe Biden is worse.
Joe Biden is the worst. I was talking about this on the Rebel live stream the other day with Matt Brevner, who's black, talking about this James Klug video, the reporter, where he asked people in California if they think Joe Rogan's racist. Every black person he interviews says no. Old white women say yes, of course. One of the women says that what George Floyd taught us is that we shouldn't put up with this stuff, and I'm sure Eric loves to hear that. Well,
I'm also just curious, have we all forgotten that Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle are like BFF, bro? They were on Chappelle's show in like 2004 or 2000, whatever, a long time ago. They were on the show, they toured together. Right. Like, are we really to believe? I mean, we might be able to believe that Joe Rogan is a racist if they hadn't already thrown all the other stuff at him, right? If they hadn't come out with the misinformation and the 200 doctors or whatever it was, if they hadn't done that, they could have just jumped straight to the N-word, and then we would have been like, oh, well, he's a racist. But now it's like you just threw all this spaghetti at the wall, and you're hoping that some of it sticks, and it's all just, slid down to the floor in this disgusting puddle of, woke mob outrage.
Well, let's see the Young Turks, and let's see if we get suspended for that.
Well, I'm black.
We're trying
so
hard now.
It's cool.
Yeah,
I can say it. All right.
Music's allowed.
Apologize. I know these are like difficult words to hear, but words like nigger and fag. Nigger. You niggers are why I lost my job.
Oh my God.
He only shot a nigger. Run, nigger, run.
Nigger this or nigger that. Okay, so they're like, all right, you cover that Jerry Rice looking nigger.
Whatever, niggerhead.
Nigger. Niggerland.
He canceled his weekend at Niggerhead Ranch.
His ranch was called Niggerhead. Fucking Jews and niggers.
Nigger lover on it.
Which is better,
Oh my
nigger
God.
or cracker?
It was apparently called Niggerhead.
Oh, you're a nigger?
Doing fucking nothing and being a lazy nigger.
They were nigger lovers.
It don't give a nigger time to learn his lesson.
White crackers.
Yeah.
Does that mean now we can say black niggers?
There will never be a nigger.
This is so bad.
Obviously, let's just go ahead and say obviously it's taken out of context, but this is the same thing with Joe Rogan. Everything is taken out of context. So why aren't the Young Turks and their hundreds of $1 million from I forget the guy's name who invested them? Why isn't that?
Oh no.
Yeah, why aren't they taken off? Anybody want to touch
Because-
this, Eric? I think legally you're the only one who's allowed to say anything here.
Well, look, it doesn't. You already know, right? I don't have to tell you exactly why. They are part of this awful establishment. Now, of course, the Young Turks are so far left that they probably. I assume I don't watch their content, but I assume that they don't like Joe Biden either. But they are still just puppets of that same regime, right? So I'm sure they will complain that Joe Rogan, or excuse me, Joe Rogan might actually make a better president. But anyways, that he didn't cancel student loan debt, so they're gonna spout off all these crazy far left things, but at the end of the day, they still work for that establishment, and that is why nobody cares. And of course, it's all taken out of context, but that's the whole thing, right? I'll be honest, I haven't seen the compilation of Joe because it doesn't matter. I don't care. But that's why at the end of the day, they work for the same corrupt establishment, and they can do whatever it is they want. We see it over and over again, whether it's London Breed feeling the spirit and taking her mask off, or Gavin Newsom partying at the or whatever, the AFC or NFC championship, whatever it was, the football game. They can do that. Stacey Abrams can go hang out at the classroom without a mask. They can all do it, but you can't do it because you are a stupid, I don't know, peasant or whatever you want to call it, and that's why they can do whatever they want. Doesn't matter.
I think we'll limit ourselves to one of those compilations for this episode. We've got more updated video. I believe this is from Alberta. So the last two videos we showed you were within the last 10 minutes, so those were very new. This one is from 2 minutes ago. This is Alberta from the racist convoy, of course. Sheila Gunn Reid reporting there, I believe. So I'm not sure what this is talking about, but the last video we had here, this is back at the bridge. This is the scenes at the bridge as of 20 minutes ago. Isabel, our reporter, is there with David Menzies, the Menzoid. And I expected things to happen at midnight. That's what everybody thought was going to happen, was midnight was supposed to be when the emergency order came into effect. And maybe it's tonight at midnight they're waiting till. But I don't know if you guys have seen there's counter protesters in Ottawa now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to find that because they are protesting for mandates. They're protesting for less freedoms, I guess. It's pretty crazy. Well, Leeroy, I wanted to ask you, what's the plan moving forward? Are you gonna keep reporting? Have they silenced you? Are you gonna sue the cops? Anything you want to say about that?
Absolutely. I'm not. This is not going to stop me. This stuff only makes me stronger. I'm a stubborn New Yorker. You do something to me, I'm going to do it 100 things harder to what you're trying to stop me. Right? They arrested me. They shut down my Twitter. They actually also shut down my private business that was connected to the same email as Twitter. Right? They did all of that stuff to me. But you know what? I'm stubborn. I'm just going to go harder now. Right? My videos are still going viral, even though I'm not on Twitter. You know. So that just shows you that I'm not going to stop. And that just shows you a guy with a camera phone, right? A little camera phone, how much they want him gone, right? Because I'm not going along with their narrative, right? I don't want to go along with their narrative. In journalism, you want to show the truth, right? For a long time, they said the New York scene, activist scene is all white supremacists. They're not. I got to know them. They're good people. They just have a belief that they don't want these mandates. That's what they believe in. So I'm not stopping. You want to arrest me? No problem. Arrest me. I have a nice lawyer, and we'll keep suing. It's a payday. Keep locking me up. I'll keep making money.
Yo, so I actually, and I want to say just really quick, you are probably, I mean, obviously you don't have nobody has the platform of Joe Rogan, but what you're doing is probably just as scary simply because you are not taking, I mean, you as far as I can tell, you truly are not, like, even me, like, I'm not a reporter, I'm not out there on the ground doing that type of stuff, but I would be pretty obviously, like, center right, we'll say that. But you, I think, even when people you can't be pinned down, so they're not going to say, oh, he's right wing, oh, he's left wing. So if you can shoot it straight, they don't want that. Even if you were on the right, they can say, well, he's a far right wing, bigot or whatever. So that would be easier to pin you down, but they're not. It's kind of like a Tim Pool thing, right? Like, he's just sitting on the fence. Nobody can really pin him down. And I wanted to ask you, because I replied, I think, when you posted that screenshot of the Twitter people taking you down, and it said something along the lines of, if you try to make another one, it's only going to make it worse, or something. Like, that is border, like, that's a scary thing. So you literally, what if you bought a new phone, got a new internet router or whatever, and you wanted to make a brand new Twitter about baking or something? Would that still not be allowed? How are they really tracking that, I guess, is the question I'm asking.
So what they did with my other phone is, I even had an old account they took down that was connected to the same phone. And then I started a new account and they took that down also. I've emailed Twitter multiple times to ask them what is going on. The first email I got for them, and they said I was manipulating data and spamming, which I do not know how to do. I'm not that smart. I'm a smart guy, but I have no idea how to manipulate Twitter's data. I wouldn't be a reporter if I knew how to do that. Put it this way. Look, my videos got 16 million, 8 million. It was getting millions and millions of views. And what I was doing, I was getting more views than the mainstream TV, the mainstream news. And I guess that was intimidating. That couldn't happen. God forbid it happened, right? But I also got the same amount of views when I was filming Black Lives Matter. I never got deplatformed for it. Right. So I don't know. Some people do not want me reporting on these mandate protests.
But so if you were to just say,
I was just going to say, have you reached out to any companies to be a cameraman or reporter for them? Have any of them reached out to you?
I've gotten a few requests. InfoWars sent me and told me they'll make me my own channel, which I don't know if I want to go that route yet with InfoWars, because once you go on InfoWars, you're done every place else.
Yeah, Caitlin Bennett told me that on my show not 4 days ago. She and like you say how many millions of views you get. She gets 600,000, 400,000, 300,000. And I'm like, are people offering, or are you going to come to another network? She's like, oh no, nobody will work with me because I was on InfoWars. It's insane.
That's why I appreciate their offer, and I really do appreciate Alex's offer and the people at InfoWars. But I'm really afraid. They were going to do my own channel, but I'm really afraid once I go there, I'm completely done. Like, no one will ever touch me. I did get an email earlier today from some people in Canada, and they wanted to offer me a Canadian photography job in Canada doing documentaries. So I got to reach out to them too. But again, I like making money, but this is not the main reason why I'm reporting. That's the thing with me, right? Thank God I'm blessed. I have some money, right? I'm blessed, and I thank God every day I'm blessed. But my main reason to doing it is getting the message out, whether it's an honest message from Black Lives Matter or an honest message from the mandate rallies or whatever message is out there. I want to get out, right? Look, the reason why I got into reporting is because I was very curious what was going on in the Black Lives Matter protests in the beginning. And all I seen was chaos and burning on TV until I actually went there and started speaking to people, right? And it wasn't just about the chaos. It wasn't just about the fires. There was a different message out there, right? And I wanted to make sure that got out there, right? So, and that's what I did. The same thing with the mandate rallies. There's a message there that the mainstream is not covering. Look, I was at these rallies and there was 15 to 20,000 people at a protest, a mandate protest. And some of the independents that are really the mainstream's bitches, right? They went there and they said it was only 200 people at this rally. And there was 15,000 to 20,000 people, right? And they painted it as 200 people. Or they would go there. I remember there was Proud Boys at a rally. There was thousands of people there. And there was 30 Proud Boys. Some photographers just focused on the Proud Boys to make it look like a Proud Boy rally. In reality, it isn't. There was only 30 of them and thousands and thousands of regular people. Right. So if I don't get a job with nobody, that's fine. I'm still doing what I really wanted to do is get an honest message out.
Wasn't there
the offers are go ahead, Eric.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, wasn't there at one point, and I don't know if it was your footage or somebody else's, but at one point where the BLM crowd and the anti-mandate crowd had sort of formed a sort of an alliance, like back at the beginning of when like I remember seeing some footage. I think I even saw a guy, if I remember correctly, he had a MAGA hat, but he had a BLM mask, and I was like, this is not going to end well for the establishment if these sort of people are making alliances. So this is happening, I think.
It's happening. It happened in the beginning. That was a protest with Hawk Newsom and Black Lives Matter Greater New York with the New York City Freedom Rally. And they both joined forces to have a protest for Kylie Irving, the New York Nets, Brooklyn Nets basketball player. And they got together and they did a rally, and that went super viral too. And some news networks were painting at white supremacists stormed the Barclays Center. And you would see Hawk Newsom and Reverend McCall and Hawk's sister in the front of the thing and like white supremacists. I'm like, this is like, you got Black Lives Matter there. What the hell are you talking about? Right. So they did team together for a little while, but I guess it was too many back the blue flags, and Black Lives Matter don't like the police. So, but a lot of people in BLM, they're against the mandates. It's just a lot of them just, they can't speak up, or they're being told not to speak up.
Well, they did it on my show, so kudos to them. And the reason I asked about getting job offers, because I think they'll keep coming, because this is what people want now. And if you look back to Jorge Ventura and James Klug and Elijah Schaefer, they all got picked up by big networks. And now when you look, and even though you're banned from Twitter now, if you ask people who, or like my friend, my coworker, who he would watch is you, Bigo on the scene, and then to a lesser extent, I'd say Elod was out there too, but he's more, like camera facing. So like this is what people want now. And the Rebel News thing is we're sending people to Ottawa in these protests, and they're just pointing a camera at stuff, and they're ending up on these huge networks too. So I think it's just inevitable, because this is what people want. And then the mainstream media is just like, why won't anyone talk to us? Why do people tell us that we're liars? And it's like, nobody knows who you are. And your job is to smear everybody, no matter which side it's on. Like you go there and you're just like, well, this BLM right, this is a BLM right. You go there, this is the Proud Boy right. You go there, these are white supremacists. It's all sort of that stuff, and nobody really wants it. And I talked about the counter protest, which is very confusing here, and I want to bring that up for everybody. So on what these people want mandates and COVID enforcement. But they're gathering together in close proximity in order to protest for that. It doesn't really make sense to me. I'm going to play it here. So they're walking down the street. I don't know what their sign says. This is from above. But they've got masks on. Can you put the sound on? Can we hear what they're saying? Sure, I can do that. We're going to have to turn it on.
Sorry. No, I didn't. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's not that important.
I don't know what these flags are either. But we're so close together, but we want enforcement of mandates. I don't understand it.
That's scary. That's a lot of people. They want to force this stuff. Yeah, that's wow.
This is in Ottawa, so they're like, don't block the streets, don't lift COVID restrictions. It's dangerous out there, but we're going to block the streets and be super close to each other. Same thing happened in Vancouver. They were going to try to drive trucks from the West Coast to East Coast. And to protest them blocking the streets, protesters then went out and blocked the streets. So it's very confusing. I don't know how organic something like this can be. And frankly, I don't even know if I believe that this is a counter protest because of how many people, I don't know how many of these people actually know that they're in a counter protest. Maybe it's the fact that they're wearing masks, but what's it say? Watson, Trudeau, Ford, enough talk. I don't know what that means. Time to act. This is Watson. I don't know who Watson is.
So I love how they're pushing for more police to work now. That's the funny part, right? First they would defund the police, FTP, ACAB, police brutality. And now they're like, send in the army to get these. I'm like looking at them. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me, bro? I was like, we were trying to have police accountability for the past 2 years, and now it's go beat people up.
Yeah, and there's Elad. I saw found a protester that said "gas the unvaccinated." There's a woman walking around with that, which is really
with
crazy.
a swastika on the sign. Like that,
and it looks like she drew it on after. I'll find that. I'll find that in a second. It looked like she had that, and she went away and drew it on the sign. Elad's. There's another guy who got signed. I act like it's got drafted in the NFL, but he got signed by.
He got signed to like a record label. Yeah, you get like
exactly.
Death
Eli's
row.
a good guy. I know. I personally know Elad. Me and him speak every once in a while. He's a good guy.
I speak to
Yeah,
him. He
I
won't
was.
come on my show. I think he only wants to do like real in-person things. He's one of those guys, like a comedian. If you try to get a comedian on your show, they don't like doing it like virtually because their jokes don't translate as well. You know, it's like a feel. Elad might be in that category where it's like, I don't want to do it online. I want to do it in person.
Yeah,
Elad, come on my
Elad.
show.
He's a nice guy. I still think that they
Here
should not
comes.
have. They shouldn't have kicked him out of Amfest, bro. That was super lame. They treat this kid Kyle Rittenhouse like he's some sort of a god, and I'm glad that Kyle Rittenhouse got off. I mean, we can go down the rabbit hole of tinfoil hat stuff with Kyle Rittenhouse. The point is, he's an 18-year-old kid. He is not untouchable. Elad was trying to ask him one very simple question, and he got kicked out for that. I think that was whack.
Elad he knows what he's like a troll. Elad. He chased Kyle down. When I seen it, I'm like, oh my god, what is this kid doing? And I'm sure he got a lot of hate because of it. I'm sure he got hated on a lot.
People, yeah, I agree with Eric in the fact that he shouldn't have been kicked out, and like you're allowed to ask people questions. But the other side of the story, to quote our Rebel News tagline, is this kid has death threats constantly, so they can't get close to him. I'm more fine with the bodyguards pushing him away than I am with the event being like, you're immediately banned. You're immediately got to go.
Yeah, exactly. He was protected. I feel like Kyle was safe. They could have said, all right, bro, back off. Go. Like, you didn't have to kick him out. You could have said, all right, no questions, bro. Go away and go back and talk to your friends. You didn't have to be ejected immediately from the event, but whatever.
Yeah, look,
Watson
like
is
I
the
said,
mayor.
Elad has his ways. Elad has his ways of doing things. He's a little pushy. He's funny. He does a lot of crazy stuff. I like him.
The thing about these hyper conservative events is they still have gatekeeping, and a lot of people don't like that. Like when I saw that Bryson Gray didn't perform Let's Go Brandon at that America Fest, and instead they had like these weird other musical performances, I was like, well, the reason why they're not having him there because he's too spicy. And I think he is. Eric says like he's the most extreme right-wing person we know. And like the extremity comes from being very Christian, which is it's a weird dynamic to have. Lewis, it's midnight
he's not
there.
That right wing. He's not that right wing a lot. He's kind of like he's a troll. He's a troll, but he's not that right wing. I don't see him being like really right wing.
No, just traditional bloke.
Yeah, exactly.
Lewis, tell us why you're wearing suspenders.
Well, so I like the look personally, a bit paisley as well. Do you know what I mean? We had New Yorkers on, so do you know what I mean? Like mobster style. Like I thought, yeah, why not? Dress for the occasion and all that.
Wait,
but no,
I'm curious. I'm curious to know about. I mean, what was it a month ago? When did Boris Johnson say, "Okay, I'm backing off everything"? And how has anything changed? I mean, were people really obeying these rules? Have they finally breathed a sigh of relief? Like, okay, well, our government says it's okay, so we can go back. Like, what's the vibe like when that? Are there a bunch of counter protesters who are like, no, we still need to force everybody to do this? Like, what does it feel like there after that happened?
It's strange because I know a lot of people personally who've never really followed the rules, which is great. That's my opinion, though, and yeah, it's a very strange one because he done it. I think he blundered his way into doing it because, of course, he's been with the whole Partygate and him being pictured and lots of accusations come out of him hosting parties during the height of lockdown, whilst everyone else was getting drunk in Downing Street and having non-social distance like drinks and lots of different things going on. And then he flat out lied and said, no, I didn't know that they were parties. And it was like, well, you've got a massive buffet there, mate, with a load of drink in hand. So I don't know, what is a party now? Starts getting all philosophical about it. But he blundered his way into it. And I think what he's realised is his backbenchers, the people who were starting to revolt against him, realised actually you can't carry on like this. You can't be doing this, because a lot of them went against when he was trying to introduce the vaccine passport over in England, and a lot of people revolted. His own party started to revolt. 126 Tory MPs went against the vote. which was very big at the time, but it wasn't enough, unfortunately. But in the end, yeah, I think late January, he just went, right, we're going to just expire this and start to get back to some sort of normality. But I think there's still a lot of work to be done. I think I mean, there is a rabbit hole to go down. The post-pandemic, you know, you could talk about the economy and the potential fourth industrial revolution that people keep talking about as well. But it's strange. It's nice. I was at a bar the other day and I sat there and I saw, I was looking around, I was having my beer with someone, and I was looking around and nobody had a mask on, and everyone was just laughing and chatting and having a good time. And it was the first time that I sat there and went, what year am I in? Am I back in 2019? Is it 2018 again? And that's quite sad that I had to sit there and think that. So it shows how much sort of damage and manipulation, lockdown, social distancing, all these measures have actually done to your brain and the way of thinking as well. There's going to be a lot of things after where people's people's own what's the word? What's the word? Sorry, I've gone blank. What's the word where people are so used to doing something over and over again?
Habit.
Yeah,
Say that again.
Been like trained. They've been like conditioned.
Yeah, habit. Yeah, there's going to be so many habits that need to be made redundant again from this, and it shows how messed up everything is. And obviously, we've seen the studies, the John Hopkins studies come out. I don't know if we can say that on YouTube, but we know what studies. Probably not, but we know what studies. And it just shows that there's a lot of people that need to be held accountable for all this stuff. So I don't know, man. It's really weird to see that England is somehow leading the way when I see it as just a political blunder.
I'm picturing Lewis crying at the bar on a lonely Friday
That's
night.
me every time.
I wanted to say too, it's very similar. I think parallel to the conditioning that has happened, and you see what's happening with the kids and stuff. I found myself thinking something very similar because I have these weird flashbacks to New York, and it's still very strange to me that I was arrested protesting the lockdowns at a time when nobody knew the name of George Floyd. So that too is like a weird pre and post like era. Like on May 9th, 2020, nobody knew the word George Floyd, but on June 1st, it was the biggest thing in the whole world, and it's kind of conditioned everybody into this weird. I mean, look, that's a sad story. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, you know, I don't know the man's history. I don't even really care about all the things that the right wing seems to think about George Floyd, because it just, you know, things happen every day, bro. And that to me seemed like a very, I mean, it was so political. It became so political. Nancy Pelosi later went on to thank him, right? And she couldn't even remember his name. She called him George Kirby. And it's just very weird to think that one man, it's kind of like this weird butterfly effect thing. Like this one thing that happened just changed pretty much the whole world. And it's like there's just no going back. You cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube. So all these mandates and all that stuff, there's no going back. So obviously, as awful as it sounds, this is the new. I'm not gonna say you get it.
Yeah, you nearly said it. But I think behavior has been a massive factor. I mean, there's been some strange things happening. I think one example over in America was when Trump decided, right, we're gonna close the borders to China when it started to hit. And then Nancy Pelosi was out trying to hug Chinese people to say that we're not racist, things like that. And it's just some strange, odd behavior that's been happening. It's really, really shown what sort of people, as the individual they are. It's really, really weird. And you start to notice all these strange patterns in people and who's become some sort of authoritarian when you thought that they were quite liberal. So it's really weird to see all this behavior change. And I don't know, I mean, you see a lot of things on social media, but I can imagine over in New York, it's been quite intense. I mean, I've seen videos of families being disrupted, you know, kids being ripped from hotels, restaurants,
yeah,
and stuff like that. And it's sad to see that, humanity sort of turned like that. Well, the West in general has turned into that strange authoritarian mess. And I don't know. One day there needs to be some sort of accountability, because it's just awful, just absolutely awful to see.
It's getting very emotional, Lewis.
It is. Look, someone does need some accountability. Look, we've been through hell, and a lot of things just don't make sense to me. I remember the beginning of the pandemic. They scared the shit out of us. Don't go outside. Don't go close to people. Don't wear your mask. Spray yourself down with alcohol when you go out. And I was literally out every day when it first started. And I would go out and I would see the parks, and people were going to the parks, and I would see the homeless people that I normally speak to and buy them food. And I would see them, and I'm like, how are these guys still alive? But I would say, how are these guys still alive? But then when George Floyd was killed, I seen an infectious disease doctor on MSNBC, and I was just scrolling through the news, just seeing what people are saying. And I stopped at MSNBC, one of the most fear-mongering channels they have, right? And they had an infectious disease doctor, and they said, go out and protest. Don't worry about the Rona. You have more chances dying from the police than you would the Rona. And I heard that. I'm like, what is going on here? I said, something's going on. And I said, well, this is something strange. Right. And I just don't know what was going through their minds. Like, these lockdowns destroyed people's lives. These lockdowns shut down people's businesses. Drug abuse went up 600% during this time. They shut down all AA and NA meetings and Alcohol Anonymous meetings and rehab meetings, but they left the liquor store open. It's too much of a design. A lot of things is just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. You guys have this, very well thought out emotional view. I want the movie after all of this to be a cheesy John Carpenter horror movie, something on Mars or something with zombies. If you remember, we all might be old enough to remember. Maybe it didn't make it to the UK, but John Carpenter's Ghost from Mars, starring Ice Cube, one of the worst bad movies I've ever seen. That's what I'm hoping for. It's like we just, get somebody to play Biden, get somebody to play Trump and Trudeau, and let's just make it a hilarious, somewhat frightening but also interesting blockbuster movie. I think we've gone an hour now. We can. Lewis has got to go to bed. I want to plug everybody's stuff. Leeroy Press on Instagram. Leeroy, if you want to come back on anytime, you can. If you want to send me any footage to share, you can. Leeroy Press on Instagram, and follow his fan accounts on Twitter, of course.
Wait, Leeroy, I do have. I'm sorry, just one quick question. I'm so sorry. I'm just genuinely curious. Say if you wanted to make a completely non-political, non-news Twitter, like you just wanted to focus on
it's
NFL
IP address.
Not allowed for my phone. Not allowed for my phone.
That to me is really scary. So if you want to be like, well, I'm starting a baking account and teaching and doing baking tutorials that has nothing to do with politics.
Like an unlocked phone or something. Bryson graded it somehow because he got banned twice from Instagram, and he got like a new phone with a new IP address. You can't have it on your home Wi-Fi or wherever you got suspended from. There's gotta be. You guys live in New York. There's gotta be some bodega or some store where somebody's gonna figure out the phone for you. Here's Eric's book. It's behind me. Love the Garbage Bag. Leroy, if you haven't seen this book, you might want to get it. It's hilarious because it's all New York photos. And of course, Lewis Brackpool on Twitter. Look at him. Look how handsome he is. He's British as well, if you didn't know. Follow him on Twitter at Lewis_Brackpool, which he is on all social media platforms. You can follow me on here and get the podcast every week on Twitter, on YouTube, on Switch that nobody watches on, but it's still there. Twitch. I don't even know what it's called. Thanks everybody for watching. Lewis, you want to give us your Super Bowl prediction before we go?
I best not, because I might offend someone. So I'm going to keep stum.
I should have brought this up earlier, but I wish I could get your take on Adele. They're mad at Adele now, right? She's.
Oh yes.
How do you say her name?
See, now you're making me self-conscious. Adele. I don't know.
Adele.
Yeah, you're saying Adele, but it's okay.
Well, they're mad at her because she likes being a woman, and I just thought that was strange.
That's a gender
I get made fun of for my
awards.
Eric, you were watching Trailer Park Boys. They say the Canadian about on purpose, where they say a boat. I don't say it like that.
What's that about, eh? All right.
They
Instead of
say
OJ.
abort. Oh, I hate it, all of you guys. All right, thanks everybody for joining us. We're getting more and more viewers every week. Everybody watches on Twitter, so that the only thing we can't do is dead name people, I guess, and we won't get suspended from Twitter. No anti-trans talk on Twitter. We get suspended from YouTube. Anyways,
My
thousands of
favorite. That's
viewers
my
each
favorite
week.
thing to do.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
We
you,
love
guys.
you, Caitlyn Jenner. Thanks for watching, everybody. Eric, don't speak like about that about Bruce. You know, he's a good guy. Okay, can't say that.
Turn it up, Jordan.